Heading into 2025, the hype for Ragnarok is reaching new highs, with the main series just giving us the reveal of the primordial gods in Odin's true form, as well as the spin-off series Apocalypse of the Gods giving us the debut of Wukong. The buzz surrounding the series has skyrocketed. In this video, we're going to talk about the preview for both Ragnarok Chapter 98 and Apocalypse of the Gods Chapter number 8. But first, let's get into the bonus chapter we got at the end of Chapter 97 that I haven't covered yet on the channel. Talking about the Shinsen Gumi. Again, this is kind of full circle from what earlier bonus chapter we got back in Chapter 88, where there was one prominent member of the Shinsen Gumi, Toshi, who didn't actually go to the arena to watch Okita's fight. Now, this guy is probably the second strongest Shinsen Gumi from the context I'm understanding. My interpretation of this seems like he was Okita's rival. They touch on this in the prequel series or the Shinsen Gumi series that ties into Ragnarok, I'm pretty sure, but I haven't read that series in full. So this guy is kind of like a Vegeta type archetype where he doesn't want to act as if he's fully supporting Okita, but he definitely is. He didn't want to go be with the crowd, but he was shown watching the fight saying, I quote, "You better fucking win, Suji." And now we get a full circle moment where he is watching. He is happy Okita won, but he is still confident that he is the strongest and that he is stronger than Okita. And he was actually pissed off that he was not chosen to be one of the fighters for humanity. That's why he wasn't actually there with the Shinsen Gumi. But the really interesting and cool thing that we get to see is that he is training the Musoken. He is trying to learn Susanoo's technique with the invisible blade. This is wild. If he actually does achieve this, they had set the limitations that humanity, when they achieved it, like the old man, he just died immediately because it took so much energy. If he, a human, achieves this without dying, because this was having prominent effects on Susanoo even, but as a god he was able to withstand it and endure it for a period, he might really be stronger than Suji. Who knows? But I don't know if we'll ever get more on this, but it piqued my interest, to say the least, that he was at least trying to learn this. And I'd be interested if he is, the successor to Suji, if Suji is really going to be incapable of fighting going forward. Also in that bonus chapter though, it is confirmed that Okita is on the road to recovery. What that entails, we don't know yet, but it says that Kondo is making sure that he was getting his wounds and everything treated. We don't know if he'll ever be able to fight again though, and of course Onigo seems to be gone. We'll see where this goes. But we were left with this massive cliffhanger at the end of Chapter 97 for the preview for Chapter 98, which many of you are well aware of now. It states, Ragnarok, the last battle between gods and humans, is finally heading into its final stages. Round 11, Simo versus Loki, the battle begins, confirming our round 11 matchup, or at least 99% sure that that is going to be the matchup. Of course, there could be some fuckery, but I doubt it because this is pretty straightforward. Now, what this means is that Loki essentially probably had to have bullied Anubis out of his spot. We saw Susanoo do this last round, and it's mirroring what happened with Shiva. Shiva was obviously bullied out of his round 2 selection by Zeus and then didn't fight till round 5. It's not like he went right in round 3. Same thing seems to have happened with Anubis. He was supposed to fight in round 10. Susanoo took his place. Now Loki is jumping in ahead of him as well. So maybe we'll get some information on that, because it did look like Anubis, who was watching round 10, was still very excited to fight, still really wanted to fight. So hopefully they show us what happened there, but maybe just as in Shiva's case, we won't actually get to see the interaction. With that said, Simo the human is a Finnish sniper who's actually the youngest person on the roster in terms of real world history, as he died in 2002. So he's the closest to our modern era. This is going to be super interesting, and a lot of people are very hyped to see him fight. And I actually had somebody comment on one of my TikToks that they were Simo's great grandchild. So that is how close he actually is to our modern history. This is pretty wild. Now, I see a lot of people saying that Simo is probably going to lose this fight because of his opponent Loki. I do tend to agree with this, mainly because I think that Loki is very important to the plot. In fairness though, I would have thought the same about Hades potentially earlier in the series when he lost to Qin Shi Huang. The reason I think Loki is important to the plot though is because of this relationship, or lack thereof, with Hilda, where it was revealed that he is in love with her. I don't think that Hilda is obviously going to be Simo's villain, so I don't think there's going to be any payoff to that storyline in this fight. And I think that there has to be some reason that was brought up. That doesn't seem likely to be a main focus of the fight between him and Simo. I also think that there is obviously tensions brewing between Buddha and Loki that need to pay off. Loki seems to be Odin's most trusted confidant aside from Thor, but Thor is kind of uncontrollable for Odin, willing to challenge him. Loki is more so the right-hand man kind of role. His aura was portrayed next to Zeus as relative, and Loki has been hyped up really throughout the entire series as somebody that is a force to be reckoned with. We already got a glimpse of what his abilities are with his chain sights that come out of his palms. It's not clear if he has more things that can come out of his palms, but I'm very excited to see how he interacts with a sniper. Like I said, I would have thought Simo would have fought Apollo if you asked me at the beginning of the tournament who I thought his opponent was going to be, because Apollo at least has a bow and arrow, could have been a sniper battle. But now Loki, does he have a ranged type of weapon as well in his palms? Is he going to be shooting lasers or something out of his palms to try to snipe Simo? I am extremely intrigued because this is going to be one of the most unique matches we have ever seen in the story, and we're probably going to get a really cool custom stage, because that's really the only thing that makes sense. They can't just drop them into a barren stage because Simo's a sniper. It's obviously not how it's going to work. So there's going to be a lot of stealth involved, and I'm really thinking that this fight is going to cook. I would envision a snowy landscape, potentially in something of a forest, and my initial idea is that maybe they play on Loki having some kind of illusion ability. As we've kind of already seen, he could take the appearance of Odin and Thor. Maybe he can create illusions, and maybe he can create almost like false images of himself, and maybe you see Simo start taking out false Lokis through the forest, and maybe it's like a cat and mouse game that we play where Loki is trying to pinpoint where Simo is, trying to track him down and get close to him, and maybe if he's able to find him, that might spell the end. That's just my initial thoughts though. It sounds really cool if that's the direction they go in my opinion. With that being said, maybe it is a situation where Loki does get humbled. He was very confident talking to Hilda, thinking that it was a foregone conclusion that humanity would lose, given that two of the remaining fighters on the roster for the gods were Loki and Odin. He believes that they are so powerful that they won't lose. Maybe he'll pay for that mindset. He also didn't seem very impressed by humanity, even after seeing all these fights and really being one of the main commentators for most of the fights, as he was kind of taunting Shiva about how much damage he took from his human, and was asking everybody why they were even scared, why they were even worried about losing to humanity. So he is very, very overconfident heading into this fight, but I do think that he will win if I had to bet. As far as the rest of the chapter, I do think that we are gonna probably not get any fighting. I think we'll get the introductions to end the chapter, but I do think that we still have more that needs to be revealed by Siegfried. We never actually found out the specific reason why he wanted Gold to be there. We'll definitely have at least a scene where they're still in the cell, where Siegfried explains why it's so imperative that Gold knows about this, how Gold can help him stop the resurrection of the primordials, or if they don't reveal that, they'll just give us a shot of at least Nostradamus and Gold returning back to Valhalla. And of course, we have to get some Hilda dialogue. She was completely omitted from last chapter. So I could see a scenario where Gold and Hilda finally come back together, and Gold tells her what Siegfried has told her. It's always possible that they prolong that till midway through the fight, but obviously Hilda will at least have to put in her selection for Simo, give us some dialogue about Simo, and we'll get that, and away we go. As for Apocalypse of the Gods, we saw Wukong really getting a beatdown from Prometheus. Now, of course, there's going to be a comeback for Wukong. He is of course going to come back. The last thing that we saw was him getting back up to his feet, saying that this pain is annoying. Him thinking that the pain is annoying is not by any means saying he thinks that the pain is too much, right? So he will definitely get back up and turn the tables at some point. And it looks like that point is going to be this chapter, as the official preview states, Sun Wukong suffers from Prometheus's currents just when it seemed like it would be a one-sided fight, ... So of course that tells us Wukong is coming back, and he's trying to get that shit back in blood this chapter. So a lot of Wukong fans should probably be pretty excited for this month. You're probably going to get your first showcase at his abilities. We're also probably going to get a backstory for him if we got one for Prometheus. At some point, the power pole, his divine weapon, wasn't even shown in this chapter. So that is going to be a prominent thing going forward for him. Now, some people believe that Wukong is not even in the arena and that this is one of his clones. Although I had heard that his clones are just as powerful as him. So I don't think that that would really be anything to disparage Prometheus per se, regardless. But if that was the case, it surely would be interesting if Wukong just descended from the stands because he just wanted to see what Prometheus was capable of, and then the clone, dissipates or leaves or something of the sort, and Wukong actually takes the stage. Now, I don't think that that's likely. I don't really think that that's going to be the direction they go in, but it's an interesting theory that people have come up with. That'll do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, and make sure you keep it locked here for all the Record of Ragnarok news heading into this month's chapters. We'll be covering it all as usual. And if you happen to miss last month's chapters, both breakdowns are up on the channel for you to check out.